Week 1 and Week 3 are respectively in the books, in the rearview mirror behind us. And of course, we got to look back before we can go forward. What an incredible weekend we had. And welcome in to a new start, a new day for us here. Every Tuesday and Wednesday night, 5:30 on the West Coast, at about 6:30-ish, depending on what we got going on. Feel free to comment along if you're watching along. How did your team do in Week 1 of the NFL season or Week 3 of the college football season? We're going to take a slight peek ahead with some of our favorite games. We'll dive more into those on tomorrow night's show. But as always, I've got the boys in tow with me, and both of these guys had interesting weekends. And I'll start with Mr. Game Ready in the middle, Vegas Mac. How was your weekend, my friend?
Absolutely amazing. Got to go down and watch the Red Sox play the Diamondbacks. Yeah, I know the D-backs took 2 out of 3, but it's been a couple years since I got to actually see the Red Sox play, and it's so much fun. I mean, you really forget. You can watch them on TV all the time, but you really forget how much fun it is to go to a stadium and watch your team play, and really play like meaningful games. I mean, those games for the Red Sox are really meaningful. The best part of the weekend, though, I saw, honestly, I mean, in all the years of all the baseball I've watched, and I love Freddie Lynn, and I thought I saw Freddie Lynn make one of the greatest catches ever, but Ceddanne Raphael, I mean, the catch he made in center field to rob that home run, I mean, absolutely amazing. Best catch, not I've seen it in my life, but live to see it, it was amazing. It was so cool.
And there wasn't, if I remember that game correctly, wasn't there a Diamondback who I can't obviously name off the top of my head that did it? Not that, was it after Rafaela's catch?
Yeah, it was like 2 innings later. Bregman hit, it was in the 9th inning. Bregman hit one, and it was Blaze Alexander, who had never played left field. It was his first game in left field, and he made that catch. It was still good. I mean, it wasn't as good as Rafaela's, but damn, that was so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was Mac's weekend. He also got to see his Steelers get a shootout victory. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. Now, TJ's weekend, he spent at a football stadium, but not to see a football team, and we actually have a couple of shots here. That was what you walked into this weekend, man. Tell our audience, because I heard all about it as the Mac, but tell our audience what it was like, especially for those that have tickets to what we thought a few years ago was not going to be something anybody saw. The brothers are back together.
So I don't know if you got, first off, I go to a lot of shows, right? That's just what I like to do. Ever since they took them all away from us and we all spent a year at home, it was the one thing that I missed the most. But I have never, ever been in an environment like this. There were 80,000 people there, no exaggeration. And everybody was so happy. Like the happiness, the good vibes were unreal. We had to wait in a long line to get in. Once we got in, everybody was super cool. We had some great seats. It was everything that I thought it would be. And it exceeded my expectations. I wrote on socials, I said, we knew every song that was going to be played. We knew the order it was going to be played in because it's been like that for the entire tour. And you still sit there with bated breath waiting to hear everything. So it was incredible. I'm so fortunate that we got to go. And it was very emotional and very, very fun.
A lot of shots that you shared on your socials. This one was the one I grabbed just because from your vantage point where you guys were sitting, and we know how it is in the Rose Bowl in general when the sun goes down. And to me, that was the most incredible one. You guys know me. I'm not a concert guy. I was thinking about this today because I knew we were going to talk about your experience there. I'll give you my entire list of concerts. Click the right button, dumbass. The entire list of concerts I've been to. I saw War. This is quite the group, too. I've seen War in concert. My dad took me to that one. I saw Disturbed and Mudvayne at the... I can't remember the name of the venue. It's down by the Arizona Center. It's not there anymore. And I may or may not have had a fake ID, and we may or may not have gone to Fat Tuesdays, and I may or may not have fallen asleep while Mudvayne was on the stage because I had a couple too many slushies. Then I saw P. Diddy at this was before the birthday parties and lube and all that stuff at America West Arena, and then the last concert I saw, which was a mind blower for me, George Strait at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. That's literally the list of my concerts, which I know doesn't even like remotely come. What are you laughing at in the middle there?
I have a George Strait story that I wish not to share.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me that one off the air, but yeah, an incredible weekend. I mean, not only did you guys get to experience some cool events there, we all got to see some good football. All three of our particular NFL teams got the dubs this weekend, so that was exciting. We're not going to talk about what happened on Saturday in the swamp. Gave me shades of a shoe throw from a couple years ago. But a lot of stuff going on in the world of football, a lot of stuff going on in the baseball world. We'll touch on very little of that today. We'll get a little more into baseball tomorrow. But obviously, guys, the biggest game of the weekend was that Michigan-Oklahoma game. Game a lot of people were looking forward to seeing. Two different ways to get quarterbacks in this day and age of NIL and the way college football is, and John Mateer and Bryce Underwood. And I thought it was a pretty good game. T, you were a little short on your over there. Oklahoma surely had their opportunities to add to that point total, but Mateer looked really good again for Oklahoma, 21-34, 270 yards and a touchdown as the Sooners get the win in Norman, 24-13. And I wanted to start on that game, guys, and just kind of go because we're talking about two teams at the time. They were ranked 15 and 18 there. And I think we might have to start taking the Sooners a little bit more seriously. I do have some big-time concerns about their running game, is what I took out of that. I think they're going to need a lot more for Mateer to continue to be effective. But, Mac, I know you've got some interesting thoughts on Michigan and what you saw from the Wolverines when you got a chance to watch that game back.
Yeah, I mean, my main question about Michigan is their identity. And what I mean by that, when Harbaugh was there, we know what we got from Michigan. They were going to be physical on both sides of the ball. They were going to run it. There was no doubt about that, and they were going to play good defense. And watching the game, what it was kind of interesting because a lot of questions came up. Like for instance. They would go ahead and run a spread package, and when you're running a spread, obviously what you want to do, one of the things is kind of open up the running game. But when they would go to that spread package, they didn't. They were looking to throw the ball a little bit much, which goes against what Michigan kind of does. And then kind of the opposite, when they were kind of really really tight. They were trying to run the ball. So it was really weird. I didn't really understand what Michigan was trying to do, what their identity was. I thought more in the second half when they came out and they had that really good drive where they scored their touchdown. It looked more like Michigan football, but I don't know how good their offensive line is, but I still don't know what their identity is. And part of that might be also I'm not really scared about their receivers either. Their wide receivers don't really scare me. I mean, they had 5 catches on the day. So my big question is this: what is Michigan football right now?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. And T, you had our preview on this game on our social channels at Mike Arana Show. And I thought you brought up some interesting points in how you thought Michigan was going to try and attack Oklahoma, who I think has gotten better. And again, we'll get more into this as they get into deeper parts of their schedule. But Brett Venables is doing a good job at Oklahoma, and Michigan wasn't able, as Mac was just saying, to utilize the weapons that you highlighted when you previewed the game.
No, I mean, beside the one run by Haynes, right? And then other than that, the dude was 18 rushes for 50 yards. So that's, not even 3 yards a clip. And Bryce Underwood just looked like he didn't know what he was doing out there. And, that's going back to the identity thing. I mean, that's what you're going to get. He's a true freshman. He's played 2 games. And this is the first one in a hostile environment. So, you're going to get what you're going to get with this team right now. I don't think they have an identity. And I think if they want to be competitive, they better find one. But I don't know if they need to match their identity to their personnel. And I think they're at a point where they're still trying to put that thing together. But
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at it, I mean, the defense they outscored Oklahoma in the second half. They had 2 sacks. They won the turnover battle, but they couldn't get it done on offense.
I put this more on the coaching staff than I do on the players, quite honestly. I don't think the schemes that they used fit what they were trying to do. I mean, like I said, when they were going to that with those really really tight sets, what you're doing is you're inviting the defense to come in, and then they were trying to run with those tight sets, and that it just doesn't make sense. So I kind of put a little bit of blame on the coaching staff of Michigan, especially the offensive side, because I don't think their game plan was a good game plan.
No, I don't think it was either. And, now for Michigan, they'll look forward to Central Michigan, and they're going to do it with Biff Poggi on the sidelines in his cutoff shirts. He's the interim coach, as Shamar Moore will be serving his 2-game suspension for Oklahoma. They'll travel to Temple, where they'll play Temple at Lincoln Financial Field. And somebody caught a hot mic today in Oklahoma's presser. Temple is a high school. It's like a high school game. So we'll see if the Owls can rock to that one. But that's a pair of 2-0 teams. That'll kick off at 9 a.m. on the West Coast on Saturday. Guys, let's take a look at our highlights of the weekend. A lot of games. There was, Mac, you referenced it in your recap that was up this morning. It was a lot of cupcake patting this week. My highlight of the week, and I think it goes without saying, I talked about this on my preview Saturday, was the Oregon-Oklahoma State game. And the absolute ass-kicking that the Ducks put on Mike Gundy's Cowboys. They ended up dropping a 41-3 lead at halftime, 28 more they added in the third. They didn't score in the fourth for a final score of 69-3. And again, I asked the question, why would you be dumb enough to clap at Dan Lanning? And we had one of our followers on one of our social channels say, hey, you know what, that's dirty journalism by the reporter. He knew what he was doing. Yeah, well, Mike Gundy knew what he was answering as well. There's a way to answer a question and there's a way not to. And I think it's time nationwide, not from this guy, because you guys know who I picked to win the national title. This Oregon team is really damn good. And I don't think people pay attention, Mac, to what they've done on the defensive side of the ball with Dan Lanning's brilliance and Tosh Lupoi, who can't be far from a head coaching opportunity because he's done a fantastic job since they've been up there together.
Yeah, we talked about it in our preview. I mean, I don't think any of us think that Oregon's not going to be good. I just, I don't think they had the preseason shine that they had last year. But again, that doesn't mean they can't compete for a national championship. By all means, I mean, they're a good enough team to do that. We talked about which one of those, schools from that conference are going to, win the national championship this year, and everybody kind of has, Penn State as the one. But I mean, I think you're right, Mike. I mean, this Oregon team could be the one. Maybe they're the chosen one this year.
Yeah, and they'll travel this weekend to Northwestern to take on the Wildcats. They're really not going to get tested until the whiteout game at Penn State, which I'm sure Dan Lanning won't have a problem firing his guys up for a rematch of the Big 17 championship game last year. That venue at Northwestern, man, I know it's a temporary thing. That new stadium looks like it's incredible. I would love to get to a game not after the month of September because it's right on the damn lake and I don't want to freeze my rocks off, but I think that's going to be a scene, maybe some weather in the forecast this weekend. So the Ducks go on the road for the first time after really not being tested at all, let's be honest, in their first 2 games.
Yeah, but I think this is actually, I kind of agree with you here, Mike, because it plays in. So Oregon was the big cheese last year, right? With the whole duck in the river episode. So they put the target on their own back last year. And they said they were going to, we're going to win. They had the attitude that they were going to win everything. So the target's on their back and they didn't come through. Now this year they backed off a little bit. There was no shenanigans at media day. They're just kind of there. Hey, we're Oregon. You know what we are. And they just, man, that game, that wasn't even a game, man. That was just a complete, I'm a man. I gave up 41 in the first half. Holy smokes. I like what I saw out of them. And I'm looking forward to seeing more later.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt, give me your highlight of the weekend on the college football slate.
I went with Baylor and their win over SMU. Again, we have to remember, SMU was a year ago. They were in the playoffs. I mean, they're not a bad team, and they were. It was, part of it was their defense, and that was just a fun game. A lot of points being scored, a double overtime game. Baylor was absolutely phenomenal in that game. Sawyer Robertson, 34 for 50, 440 yards. Both his receivers, Cameron and Hawkins, had over 100 yards. I mean, T, I think I don't remember if it was you or Mike, but one of you mentioned Baylor in our preview show. And I'll tell you what, if this is the kind of production that Baylor is going to get, yeah, granted they gave up some points, but man, oh man, that was a fun Baylor team to watch play some football.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to make a team score 50 to beat you, I think that's really good.
Right.
You're going to win more games than you lose. I'm really high on this Baylor team. I think they're going to make a little bit of a run in the conference.
Yeah, in both of these teams this week, I mean, they've got a couple of cupcake tune-ups. Baylor has Samford before they play Arizona State. Arizona State, who lost a crazy game at Mississippi State. And then SMU, I just had it in front of me. SMU has Missouri State before they travel to TCU, another team in the Big 12 that looks to be way better than we thought. T, give me your highlight of the weekend, the thing that stood out to you college football-wise.
I had to take this one. Fran Brown at Syracuse making his team run gassers after the overtime win because he was so mad at the way that the team played. I love this message. It's in an era where money is talking and money is king, and it's the best team that you can buy. Fran Brown goes out there and says, I don't give a damn what your check is or who you are. This game was unacceptable. And I love the fact that he did it right after the game. The band was there. There were still fans in the building, and these guys are running 20-yard sprints. I love it. All I could think of was again. So kudos to Coach Brown. I'm interested to see how this Syracuse team responds.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, UConn, by the way. I had Oregon to cover the big number and UConn +7, and of course they shit themselves down the stretch there. The game goes to overtime, and they lose by exactly 7 points. It's an interesting approach, Mac, and we've talked about this a lot, and I think you and I are going to be on two sides of this completely naked argument here because this isn't something we talked about when we were getting ready for the show here. I do think it's an interesting approach. T, you coached with me. There were several times where, we were in the same kind of boat, if you will. But I think it's a very interesting approach, Mac, because you've got guys on NIL money and you've got guys on NIL deals. And I know he's trying to build a culture there. And I'm not saying I don't agree with what he did. But I think it's an interesting approach because you're going to get some of those guys that go, screw this guy, he's out of his freaking mind.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is an old school kind of thing right there. I mean, that'd be, something you would expect like a Bobby Knight to kind of pull out, and I mean, I don't think it really got all the, I think it's cool. I don't know that it got a ton of run. But yeah, you're right. It'll be interesting to see what some of those guys think, in the locker room. But I don't disagree with it. Like you said, there's a lot of sports, baseball for one, that guys run sprints after games. I mean, it's part of it. I mean, we see it. And I see, you see it in football. I mean, you see it in high school and some college things from time to time. So I don't think it was by any means out of line. And here's the thing. If that causes somebody on my team to not want to be on my team, then guess what? I probably don't want you on my team anyway.
Can't win with them. I want winners.
There you go.
Let's look ahead. Take a little peek ahead. We'll get into some more of these tomorrow, but we'll go around the table here, and there's obviously some big games this weekend. College Game Day will be at the Georgia-Tennessee game after they were basically rejected by Hard Rock Stadium and Miami in the city of Miami. I shouldn't say the university. They wanted to be at that game between South Florida and Miami this weekend, which is number 18 South Florida off of the upset win over the Gators in the Swamp at number 5 Miami. And I've said this a couple times. Alex Golish is a fantastic coach, and he is building something at South Florida. This team is gritty. They're tough as hell. They've got some experienced guys. Jalen Schuler on their defense, their linebacker, is an absolute animal. He's all over the field. Miami comes into this game as a massive, massive favorite. And this might be the single biggest game that could ever be shown on the freaking CW network, who has the broadcast of it this weekend. I'm interested to see this one. The line's ballooned up to 18.5. You guys know what I think about Carson Beck and his 5 dumbass throws that he makes every single game. I'm stalking this line, and I have been stalking this line because I think South Florida deserves a little bit of respect here. Can they pull it off another week here after beating the hell out of Boise? Really just kind of dominating the game against the Gators. The Gators did have a couple of touchdowns called back. And then obviously on the final drive, a spitting incident that gave an automatic first down and 15 yards. But this South Florida team is kind of a pain in the ass, and I think they're going to be around and be able to make a little bit of noise here. And maybe this is the team this year that is the fly in the ointment.
Well, yeah, I mean, that Boise game was so frustrating as a Mountain West guy, but man, they just took Boise right out of their game and just blew them right off the field. And then last week, I was honestly surprised. I didn't watch the whole game, obviously, but I was surprised at the outcome. I guess I shouldn't be, but yeah, I don't know if they've got 3 in a row in them, but that's funny that game day is not going to be there. That's hysterical, but I don't know.
To be fair, game day asked to be there, and Hard Rock Stadium in the city of Miami rejected them, not game day. So,
do you think that they need to win this game? I mean, I to get to be like really considered a playoff contender already, or does it? If they play this one close, I mean, don't get blown out. Play it close, 10-7, even a 14-point game. I mean, a one-loss team. I mean. They probably can make a pretty good run in their conference. I mean, with those 2 wins that they already have, is this a team we're already kind of looking at?
Go ahead, T. I'll let you go first on this one.
I think we're looking at them, but it's more like I'm kind of passing by the window here, and I see you in the window, and I think I'll come back in a couple of days and check you out again, type of thing. I don't know if I'm drinking South Florida's Kool-Aid just yet.
Because honestly, no other game that they win the rest of this year is going to look anything like what they would have won in one of the first 3 weeks. So nothing is going to like stand out.
I think it's twofold though, because we know the committee is going to give further deeper evaluation and more consideration to losing close games. So in part of what you said, Mac, I think if they do play Miami tough, I think that's going to go a long way for them. Obviously, we know in the American, you've got Navy, you've got Memphis, who looks to be okay. North Texas is off to a 2-0 start. Temple, Tulane, also. They play Memphis, they play Navy, but they don't get a chance to play Tulane or Temple in their schedule. I think the other thing that could hurt USF going forward is the Gators' schedule. And if that thing, and talk about like building yourself up to like good graces with fans and then literally like crapping down your leg right away. It was Billy Napier's mismanagement of the clock. The Gators again lose to an unranked team in Billy's tenure. And I'm going to be the first one to say it. You've got a superstar quarterback in DJ Lagway. And if you don't get this thing right, and with the Gators' schedule, I think that actually might end up hurting USF in the long run because I don't even need to go very far on the Gators' schedule. I'll just give you the next 4. Number 3, LSU on the road this weekend. Number 5, Miami on the road next weekend. Number 7, Texas in Gainesville after that. And then they're at number 16, Texas A&M. And I can stop there. There's more. But just wait. There's more. Right now, I'm going to start it. It's already been started. I want John Gruden. I want Lane Kiffin in Gainesville. Somebody needs to make that shit happen. It's the University of Florida. You've got money to pay buyouts. You're probably still paying Dan Mullen. He's using that on the craps table at some low-level casino in Vegas because he doesn't like to recruit. That's all I got to say on that. Mac, go to your game that's got your attention here this week.
I'm going with Texas A&M and Notre Dame. I think this is a big game in a couple of ways. Number one, for Notre Dame, it's first game at home. I mean, they need a win. Let's just be honest. The rest of their schedule, we talked about it, isn't a really, really tough schedule. And to lose 2 games to the 2 best teams, basically, you're probably going to play all year, it's not going to look good. For Texas A&M, this is a string of, you said it with Florida, but it's the same thing. Texas A&M has Notre Dame, then they go to Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, and so on and so forth. And so, this is a game that's going to help them in their resume. If they're going to try to be one of those teams that becomes a playoff team, this is not a game that they can drop. So this is a really, really big game for both these teams. I was looking right now, Notre Dame's, I think, favored by 6.5 in this game. So I think this is going to be a fun game in the afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of people that have eyeballs on that one. T, go ahead and give me your game that's got your attention for this weekend.
It's Georgia and Tennessee. I think this is going to be a premier matchup. Tennessee, I mean, they beat Syracuse, and then last week, Cupcake City. And Georgia hasn't really played a murderer's row either in Marshall and Austin Peay. But so finally, it's like these 2 teams get to start their regular season. And say what you want about the SEC, right? And going and all the schedule things and whatever. We know that they have the mandatory November pushover game. But, dude, 4 weeks in, and you're getting Tennessee and Georgia, a couple of top 20 teams with a hell of a lot to play for. Give me all of this all day long.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see Gunnar Stockton, Mac, a guy we've talked about. We don't really know who he is. Now he's going to get his first real test on the road at Neyland, which is never kind to Georgia players, personnel, coaches, or anybody, as we know most of the SEC rivalries go. Very interested to see the quarterback matchup this weekend of Joey Aguilar and Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, and this is fun. And I mean, for college football, how can you not be excited that, basically every week so far from, these first couple of weeks, we've had, a really good ranked on ranked team playing each other. I mean, that's what we want to see. I mean, I know you need to have the cupcakes, but listen, these are the games we really want to see early on. Cupcakes are great, but, we want the meat and potatoes, baby.
Yeah.
Food references in the first 28 minutes. I love it. All right, let's transition into the NFL. But before we do that, guys, I'm gonna give you a higher buy question that I'm gonna give to both of you. Same question as we get into the NFL. As we saw last night, the Vikings played one damn good quarter, and it was a really good one, and that got them the win on Monday Night Football. So I will start on the far side with TJ. Higher buy, TJ, that Kevin O'Connell is one of the 4 best coaches in the NFL right now.
Ooh, I'm going to buy that, even though it's a small sample size for this year. Look, he got Sam Darnold paid. He really did. So now let's see what you got with a guy who hasn't played. Well, he's played a game, right? I mean, and you're right. He looked good in the fourth quarter. He didn't look great. The first 3 quarters, he looked he looked like trash, to be honest with you. I didn't like it at all. But he came through when it counted. So I'd buy that for sure.
Mac, higher buy. Kevin O'Connell's one of the 4 best coaches in the NFL.
You could go 4, you could go 3, you could go 2, you could go 1. He might be the best.
That's a ballsy statement. Whoa. I'm sure everybody in Philadelphia and Kansas City hates you right now, but
yeah, well, but look what he's done. How can you argue with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting topic for sure.
I mean, and the first thing people are going to swing back at me is that, well, he hasn't won in the playoffs, and I get that,
True.
But you know what? There's a laundry list of coaches that haven't won in the playoffs. So, I'm telling you. I think he's he might be the best.
Yeah, I think it's a fair discussion for sure, T.
Let's circle back in about 5 weeks when you've had 6 weeks of JJ McCarthy, and we'll see what happens. I'm I'm not willing to anoint this guy just yet, but yes, he is very good.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
T-
you know, it's kind of what I wrote this morning, Max. Sorry,
No.
in my blog this morning. You know, what did we learn in week one? Well, not a damn thing. There's a lot of recency bias going on, and that was kind of where I expounded my point on it. But yeah, I think everybody expected JJ McCarthy to be kind of that dude because of his track record and his history going all the way back to high school. And they said it a couple of times on the broadcast last night. I think they nailed it, Mac. I mean, he had a redshirt year last year. He was around the facility the whole time. You know, he was around Josh McCown, who is, I think, great for a young quarterback, and Kevin O'Connell, who, I mean, the dude's good.
I've said it before. I've said it on this show. I'm not a huge fan of throwing, young quarterbacks in there. I mean, I think this is great. I really do. I mean, I'm not great that he got hurt, but great that he had that year to sit and watch and kind of take it in and adjust and whatnot. I think it's an absolute wonderful thing. But what I was gonna say is T, that first quarter when your boy Caleb was 10 for 10. I had your shirt already ordered. I was ready to go.
So it's your damn fault.
I had zero concerns. Zero.
Actually, it was my fault because before they scored, Minnesota did to close the gap before they took the lead. I may or may not have sent a text to TJ talking about how if the game played its way out the way it was sitting at the time, it was going to make me 11-3 from Saturday to the end of last night's game.
Oh.
So I probably screwed myself there. But a contingency plan was in place, and I will give credit to the guy who posted this, our guy Jared Smith. He posted a two-way play right before the game last night, and I went, you know what, I'm kind of heavy on the Bears tonight. I need to have kind of a backup plan here. And it was Caleb Williams over 20.5 completions, but under 221.5 yards. That last play that turned into a circus play was completion number 21. So shout out to Jared for saving my ass last night there. So contingency plans were in place. We had a great weekend as a show. I mean, Mac, you got the push, unfortunately, in the Cyhawk game. It's better than a loss. We hit both in the Oregon game, as I mentioned. T, you were 1-1 in the Oklahoma game. The spread went 4-1. That Sunday night football game, which was insane, and Josh Allen, which I didn't post this play, but Josh Allen scoring the last touchdown of the game. We had a really good weekend, which means we're due to be absolutely effing horrible on our picks this weekend, just because that's the way it works. Let's go to a new thing for us. On Tuesdays, we're going to talk about trust issues. And I think all of us have trust issues. Again, it's only week one, but certain things you can see in week one that, maybe I've seen this before, and maybe this is something that's going to be a repeat kind of thing. And I'll start us. My trust issues, they begin and end with the guy currently playing quarterback for the New York Giants. When are we going to figure this out? Russell Wilson was very subpar to close out his Seattle year. He was a disaster in Denver. Here's a little wordplay for you. He was precisely poor for the most part in Pittsburgh. And he goes 17 for 37 on Sunday against the Commanders. Now, I will add a caveat to this. You guys all thought I was high when I said this. I do think Washington's defense is going to be much improved and one of the better units in the league. And you know how high I am on Trey Amos, their second-round draft pick from Ole Miss. So maybe part of it was the Commanders. But the other part of it is Russell Wilson is trash, and I don't understand why nobody can figure this out now. Russell Wilson was done 4 years ago, but yet this dude still gets paid. He tweeted some bullshit on his X account today like mental toughness. What, have you already been told if you play like that one more week, your ass is going to be on the bench and Jackson Dart's going to be in here? And I hate that for the Giants. And they're in a really weird spot because Brian Dable might be coaching for his job. They have Malik Neighbors. Cam Scatteraboo, oh my God. Remember all the people that said, hey, he's not going to be able to do that to NFL players. The first damn ball he hits, he freaking absolutely annihilates, and it takes 3 guys to tackle him. I mean, he's picking up blocks in the hole. Like, I'm excited about Jackson Darts and Cam Scattaboo and the Giants defense and Malik Neighbors. And I want that to play its way out for the benefit of all of us as football fans. But holy shit, Russell Wilson is terrible, Mac.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's been some talk really recently, like I think earlier today, about having a conversation about starting Jackson Dart. I mean, the Giants. I mean, again, as I just said, I don't like starting rookie quarterbacks. I love to see him kind of go through, but listen, you're right. I mean, your job's on the line. I mean, if you have another really bad season, how are the fans going to take that? How's ownership going to take that? You don't know if you're going to be there. Now, we're not saying that Jackson Dart's the answer, but listen, he can't be as bad as Russell Wilson. And even if he is as bad as Russell Wilson, you've got him for a couple more years. I mean, I saw it last year. I mean, I didn't like what he did in Pittsburgh. I mean, yeah, he won some games, but I still thought Fields should have been in there instead of, Russell Wilson. So you're right, though. The big dilemma for the Giants.
Where the hell is play Jameis Winston if you don't want to play Jackson Dart?
Yeah.
Like, what in anybody's right mind does anybody see in Russell Wilson, T?
That's my 30-30 guy. Jameis Winston, 30 TDs, 30 picks. I think I told you guys this in the offseason. I was like, man, I'd love to see him in Vegas with Pete Carroll. And now I'm like, I would love to see him just go. He needs to go away. Like, it was fun while it lasted. It's okay. Go home and make babies with Sierra. It's fine. It's fine.
Pete got the right ex-Seattle quarterback in Las Vegas.
Oh, yes.
That's what he did.
Well, I mean, it's a small sample size. Let's see what happens this coming week. But from all indications so far, yes.
But, I mean, we saw Geno Smith at his best when he was with Pete Carroll, and that's part of our Monday night doubleheader because we love those so much this week. Buccaneers and Texans on Monday, Chargers and Raiders the second game. But Geno looked really good, as did the Raiders squad against the Patriots. You saw the Pete Carroll influence right away in that first game, and I'm sure we'll get to that here in just a second. Mac, who are your trust issues with as we sit here on this Tuesday night?
I'm just going to sit in the state of Florida is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with Miami. I have no trust in this team at all. I know, TJ, you mentioned the whole idea about Tua being healthy. There's already talks that he's got a concussion. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. I know he's out there trying to do it, but this team looked horrible in every aspect of the game. I mean, just truly got trucked by the Colts. And I have no trust. I don't care that they won. No trust at all in Jacksonville. I don't care how shiny the penny looks. No, I am not. It'll be there. You can just put that in permanent marker. I am not trusting that team.
Go ahead, D.
I got nothing. I've got nothing. He's right. He's right. Miami looked terrible. Miami was not ready to play. Jacksonville looks slightly better, but I'm willing to give Jacksonville a little bit of time here with Liam Cohen to get their stuff together. Mike, it's just another day closer to death for him. I was
waiting for it. Senior advisor to the 49ers on the offensive side by Thanksgiving is my call.
There you go.
But Trevor Lawrence, though, I mean, again, we talk about all these quarterbacks that have just been given generational talents and flowers on flowers. He threw for 178 yards on the Panthers. ETN had a huge game for Jacksonville, 143 yards. And I'm interested to see that game specifically this weekend as Jacksonville travels to Cincinnati, who Cincinnati used their defense to win a game on Sunday, which I think was very impressive.
What?
But that's an interesting game there because we don't really know much about Jacksonville. And Cincinnati's offense kind of struggled, but Cleveland's defense is better than people, I think, still give them credit for. But I'm interested to see that one on Sunday. Go ahead, T.
2 wins for Zach Taylor in weeks 1 and 2 over the last 7 seasons. 2 wins.
He's
That
gonna
was
get
the second.
number 3 this weekend. Spoiler
Jeez.
alert. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. All right, let's go to TJ's highlights of the weekend. Let me guess. I'm sure I can figure out one of them.
Overrated Caleb Williams. Holy smoke. Look, I'm going to give him his flowers. He looked great for like a period. And then after that, I need to, if I'm going to give Liam Cohen and Jacksonville time, I have to give Ben Johnson and the Bears some time as well to get that ship righted. It's not going to happen in one game. But holy smokes, I was not impressed with them at all. And if I was betting a jersey, I would feel like I'm in pretty good shape. Also, Houston was very frustrating for me because, you're going to, and I think we were all kind of high on Houston at the beginning of the season. And to go out there to LA, yes, the Rams have a really good defense, but to do what they did was that was kind of scary.
Yeah, and I mean, all eyes are going to be on Detroit this weekend as Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams travel to the Motor City in a battle of 0-1 teams after the Lions get pasted in Green Bay. And I don't think it comes as a shock to me, obviously, because I didn't pick the Lions to make the postseason. Because I don't think there was enough credit given to the fact that you lose 2 coordinators. Even if you bring in guys that are within the building, you're still, Jared Goff is hearing a different voice. The Lions, whoever's wearing the green dot for the Lions, is hearing a different voice. And I don't think enough was made into that. Ben Johnson wants to go in there and get this win. God, I'm so emotional.
Yes.
He wants to go into Detroit and get this win badly. I'm sure he does. A, because he wants a win, and they need a win because it's another divisional game. But B, because it's against the Lions. And I do think that Ben Johnson is the right guy to get Caleb figured out. You saw some good things from him last night. You saw some, I mean, the pass in the first quarter, he threw down the sideline to Rome Odunze, and Odunze made a fantastic catch on it. But, I mean, he put the ball right where you needed it to be. And last year, I think there was some of those times where he didn't. The touchdown run he had at the beginning of the game. But again, like when it came later in the game, and obviously the one everybody's talking about is the one where he overthrew DJ Moore down the left sideline with about 2:27 left when they were already playing kind of a clock game. Cairo Santos, given one damn job, kicked the friggin' ball out of the end zone, couldn't do it. And, it was interesting. So I'm very interested to see where we go from there. Guys, let's look at some of our highlights. Now that we got through trust issues, there had to be some highlights from week 1. I'm gonna start with TJ, and then we'll go to Mac, and then I'll give you mine.
Danny Dimes, comeback player of the year. Holy smokes. Every time I turn around I was at the pub the other day watching the game, and every time there's a touchdown for Indianapolis. There's another Danny Dimes touchdown. There's another score. There's another Danny Dimes. Like, who knew that he just needed to move out of New York and go out where there's no pressure on you, and it's your team because Anthony Richardson's too tired to play. Holy crap. I was very impressed.
Max boys, the Colts. we laughed at them.
That's right.
Go ahead, Mac.
I was going to say, and speaking of that, one of the things that I put like a person as a highlight too, Tyler Warren. What a great start. 7 catches, 76. I mean, the real deal. He won't win, offensive rookie of the year because I don't know that his numbers were great, but man, he's so good. He really makes that team special.
The offensive rookie of the year, if there's anybody debating it now, it's over already. It's Emeka Egbuka in Tampa Bay. What a fantastic game he played. There was a story I read today, guys. I guess when they went into the huddle, he literally went into the huddle and told Bake he wanted to run this play and looked at him and Mike Evans and said, I'm going to game this cornerback on the game-winning touchdown, which was his second one of the day.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and we've talked about it. And the other thing we got to remember here is, and I know Michael Penix is going to come up here in a second. We're going to get a visit from the commissioner here in just a few minutes. But you've got you've got to remember in Tampa, they're playing without two guys on the defensive side and two guys on the offensive side right now that are big helps. And specifically, I'll focus on the offensive side, and that's Chris Godwin and Tristan Wirfs. And when those guys come back, an already powerful offense is going to be even more powerful. And, you know, we talked about it, you know, a lot of people think Atlanta can win that division, and obviously they still can. But, you know, again, these games in week one, you don't think they you know, you don't put as much stock into them in week one, but these divisional games really, really matter. These conference games, Baltimore, who failed to show up and close a big game. They showed up, but they couldn't close a big game again. That game's going to be very meaningful. Yeah, that game's going to be very meaningful down the stretch. Mac, give me your other highlight of week one here.
I was like, holy shit, the Steelers don't have to kick all the field goals. I mean, they had to kick a 60-yarder to win, but Aaron Rodgers, my man, I love you. Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. You're right, T. They just got to get out of that stinking stadium in New Jersey. But all kidding aside, I mean, from an offensive standpoint, I mean, I haven't seen the Steelers score touchdowns like that in a couple of years. I mean, I'll be honest, since Ben, let's be honest, they have not done. Now, their defense was terrible. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to focus on the positive here.
Oh, we're not, huh?
No. Listen, I mean, can Aaron do that the entire year? I mean, I don't know. And here's the thing. He did it with an offensive line. Their offensive line was terrible. They were terrible. So I think they're only going to get better. But that was a breath of fresh air for a Steelers fan to not have to sit there and go, field goal, field goal, field goal. Like I said, we needed a 60-yarder to win the damn thing. But, man, to see us we scored on the first drive of the year, of the quarter. Hadn't done that all year. I mean, it's been forever since they've done that. So that was, I mean, that's a huge highlight.
They haven't done it all year. That's impressive, considering it was week one. The reunion tour, though, as Mac referenced in our NFL kickoff show, continues as the ketchup bottle. I don't give a shit what Acrisure paying for that stadium. It's still the ketchup bottle to me. The Seattle Seahawks, DK Metcalf's old squad, comes into Pittsburgh this weekend to take on the Steelers. And again, we'll get a little more into the matchups on the NFL side on tomorrow night's program. My highlight for week one, freaking Christmas came in September, man. Jake Moody was waived by the 49ers after another dreadful performance on Sunday. And what did the Niners do? Not only did they get rid of him, which I haven't heard from my dad yet. He's probably out drinking himself to oblivion in celebration like most of the 49er fans are. And also drinking themselves into oblivion because, of course, it's week one. So why don't we have guys going on IR already? And we'll get to that in a second. But Jake Moody was released by the 49ers today. And what did they do? They did bring back Greg Joseph, who was in camp with them. They signed Easy Eddie Pinheiro, the guy who's actually tied for the fourth most accurate kicker in NFL history with one Chris Boswell. I'll give you an interesting stat here. When I was talking to a friend of mine today, I got to pull it up so I can say it the right way. Going from a guy who missed 16 kicks in his, let's call it 2.5 years for Jake Moody, to a guy who's missed 15 kicks now going into his 8th year in the league, it's like Christmas came in September. That was the good news today. The bad news for the 49ers, George Kittle was placed on IR. The earliest they can see him back is October 12th. Brock Purdy is dealing with a shoulder and a toe problem, which means, get a load of this one, boys. Sunday's matchup at the Superdome could be Spencer Rattler against Mac Jones.
Who is Mac Jones?
So funny to me that the guy that everybody thought Kyle Shanahan really wanted in the draft where they took Trey Lance is now Brock Purdy's backup. And everybody's going, oh, well, that's going to be one of the worst football games ever. It will be for the Saints because the 49ers defense guys on Sunday did exactly what we expected them to do with Robert Saleh. And I didn't text you guys because, TJ, I figured you were hungover. And, Mac, I knew you were already at the baseball game. But if there was any doubt to anybody that heard me make my prediction of Nick Bosa being the defensive player of the year, Nick Bosa was an absolute fucking menace on Sunday. Nick Bosa played a Nick Bosa game on Sunday. Robert Saleh gets gets the most out of that dude, T.
Oh yeah, we were watching the Red Zone channel in the afternoon, and it was every time Seattle couldn't get anything going. It was beautiful, just beautiful.
Yeah, so that's the it's got me starting to wonder here, and I'll make this quick because I know the commissioner is waiting on us. So, it's got me wondering where the 49ers are they looking at their athletic training staff, their health team? Because I mean, like, this is getting a little ridiculous that this team ends up this injured so often. And I get it; it's twofold, Mac. Like, soft tissue injury early in the season is not an uncommon thing, especially with less preseason games and the A players playing less of those less preseason games. But I mean, what in the hell is going on here that this team is the most injured team in the NFL and has been every year for the last 4 years, and they've already started that trend this year?
Yeah, I would like to see them play a little more in the preseason. I think that's saying I just really do. I mean, I know you're still risking injury, but I just think we talked about it. You're not in football shape. They're not. And that's where you get a lot of those kind of injuries, especially with the Purdy thing. I don't know a lot about that, but the hamstring and stuff. That's that starting, stopping, and the cutting and stuff. And yeah, you can do all the drills and stuff, but it's different when you do it at game speed and with guys hanging on you and stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, a lot of times if there's that many injuries, you have to kind of look at the whole organization and say, okay, what's going on here?
Well, if that's the case, though, it's going to get worse because there's only going to be 2 preseason games in a matter of seasons. It's going to go to 2 and 18, so it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think you're making a valid point, Mike. I think you got to look at the training staff. I think you got to look at new ways to be doing things. And you know what? If they're not going to play in the preseason, then they better get those reps in those coordinated practices, like first team on first team. And I think you're going to see more of that. And the preseason games will be, let's fill out the 53.
Yeah, absolutely. Where the hell did TJ go?
Well,
Must be a connection issue.
I think it's probably the staff. It's his workout staff. It's not working. He just
the TJ is already on IR. All right. I told you we were going to be joined by the commissioner here, and it is time to bring on the commissioner and welcome in, Mr. Commissioner. You look awfully familiar, dude.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I know you had some interesting thoughts on a couple of things that went through and some outrage by the fans this weekend. So Vegas Mac and I are very grateful that you're joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule here. So please elaborate on those issues for us.
Okay, well, the kickoff rules that we instituted last year and the year before, and with the landing zone and all, we're getting rid of all of it. We're getting rid of it all.
Really?
Yes, we're going to get rid of all of it. Yes, we got more kickoffs returned this week, but there is a simpler solution. I can't believe that we didn't think of this before. The solution was in front of us all along.
Okay.
Why don't we just move back and have the kicker kick off from the 20-yard line if you want kickoffs returned, instead of lining up in this hokey bullcrap formation that does nothing. It takes away the suspense. You can't do surprise onside kicks anymore. That was one of the greatest things in football. So we're going to move everybody back to the 20. We're going to go back to lining up as it used to be.
Okay. Well, I mean, not to be rude, you are joining us on our program, our very humble, small program here, Mr. Commissioner, but you were the dipshit that signed off on it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you.
And I'm going to unsign off on it right after I'm done here. I'm going to go get another beer, and I'm going to sit in my basement in Brooklyn, and I'm going to unsign off on this because it is hokey as hell, and I can't handle it.
Okay. All right. Now, I know you had one other thing that you wanted to bring up here, and this is why you sought out our show with our millions of followers to share this. So what is your other thing here?
We are going to start a new rule called the Michael Penix Jr. rule. And the Michael Penix Jr. rule is going to say You cannot throw the ball at the pylon. You cannot throw the ball at the goal line. You cannot spike the ball on the goal line. You cannot do any of that nonsense to try and score a touchdown. If we have to have a Calvin Johnson rule for receivers, we are going to have a Michael Penix Jr. rule for runners. So no more of this spiking the pylon and goal line bull crap, because it's not a true touchdown. You need to get the ball over the line.
You don't appreciate the stretch, though, Mr. Commissioner? I mean, the elongated stretch of a man with the last name of Penix?
I've seen better stretches from Stretch Armstrong in my closet when I was a 7-year-old.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you taking some time. Please find TJ wherever the hell he went. And thank you very much. We appreciate it.
I'm going back to Brooklyn now. Goodbye.
What the fuck just happened?
Wow. Jeez.
Unders, dude. Unders were a popular thing in week 1 of the NFL, Mac. And I don't think it's any shocker. I mean, it is a little bit of a shocker. T, I'm sorry.
Man, you all right?
I mean, when the commissioner comes in, we have to give him space, and we can only get 3 of our ugly faces.
What was that?
Week 1 unders, though. And surprisingly, one of the games that was actually one of the ones that went over was the Pittsburgh-New York Jets game.
Right. I
figured that one out. Obviously, the Buffalo-Baltimore game, and then last night's game ended up going over because the Bears forgot that there's 4 quarters in a football game, not just 3. We know the defenses are ahead of the offenses all the time. Mm-hmm. I am a little bit concerned about the Steelers' defense, and today they go out and sign Jabril Peppers to shore up the backside of that defense. Obviously, their defense made the play, Mac, when they had to. Jalen Ramsey absolutely freaking hit sticks Garrett Wilson to end that game for the Steelers there. But I'm interested to see if we get more of that in week 2. But again, Mac, and we talk about this all the time, the defenses are always ahead of the offenses at the beginning of the year, but I didn't expect it at that kind of clip.
It's kind of interesting because I've seen it at 3 levels. I've gone and watched it at the high school level, I've watched it at the college level, and now at the pro level. These first couple of weeks are really they're struggles for these teams. It's very interesting to me. I mean, a lot of mistakes, a lot of penalties, quarterbacks with not real good numbers. It's just, I mean, like you said, and we all know this. I mean, we've all coached and done our practices and had our little scrimmages, and then we get into the first game, and it's like you look at it and you go, we haven't done that ever in practice. Where the hell did that come from? You know what I mean? And so it doesn't matter what level, high school, college, or pro. It's there. They just need the reps, and it was just a very interesting read. But like you said, it's just like in baseball, the pitchers, the hitters, who gets ahead of who and who can catch up sooner. So it'll just be interesting to see which one of these quarterbacks who didn't have a real good week 1 can figure it out and have a good week 2.
The final word here before we go into some liquid locks.
But I think going back to my point earlier, man, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse before it gets better with the changes to the schedule. So these teams are going to have to reevaluate what they do in the preseason to make week 1 like week 1 for me. When I go to the casino or go online and bet, it's a crapshoot really, because I have an idea, but I don't really have an idea. Now that we're going to get into week 2, I think I have a better idea.
And I was going to say, I think it's almost an advantage if you have a little bit of uncertainty in your team, because those guys are going to play more in those preseason games. So they're getting more reps than, in essence, your superstars.
Yeah, and there's a quick peek there at your week 2 slate. Again, we'll get a little bit more into that, some of our favorites, some picks tomorrow. Mac won't be with us tomorrow, but we will go through that and make sure that we pass those along. Programming note, Thursday and Friday, back in the middays, as we will be for the rest of the calendar year, rotating group of guests and special appearances on the Thursday and Friday shows. So those will be 11:30 to 12:30 on the West Coast. All right, guys. We wouldn't be our show if we didn't get out of here with some liquid locks. So you had some options here. You had Wednesday MLB. You had some early NFL college football bets. I'm going to save my NFL one that I jumped on today If you read my blog this morning, which is up on our website or on most of our social channels, I did put it in there as far as one of the NFL games. But I looked at 2 college lines. I jumped on these both early. I like Tennessee as a home dog plus 3.5 against Georgia. I'm very interested to see how Gunnar Stockton reacts to being in Neyland Stadium. His first true road test start, and that's a hell of a place to do it. And then Texas and UTEP, who don't typically play each other very often. So, I think in we see this a lot. I think when you see teams that aren't familiar with each other, they don't play each other a lot, you tend to get some higher scoring games. This line opened at 50.5. It's at 51.5. Texas screwed me last week not being able to get the over against San Jose State. But I do like this one over 51.5 in Texas and UTEP. So those are 2 that I jumped on right away. T, give me a couple that you are looking way ahead on and you like the numbers and you took them right away.
I'll give you one college, one pro. I like the Georgia-Tennessee game to go over 49.5. I think these are 2 dynamic offenses. I think you're going to see this scoreboard light up Neyland Stadium like it's a Christmas tree. But that's going to be so fun. I can't believe it's on at 12:30. I wish it was on at 4:30. That's just like one of those games where you smoke the wings and you get all the brews, and it's just like SEC football all night. So I've got that one. And then I jumped on this early because I was impressed with how Justin Fields played on Sunday. They didn't get the win, but I thought he was good. I thought he hung Wilson out to dry on that last play. I thought he should have ran for the first down. But, I mean, they've given the ball to Fields. It's his team right now. I'm taking the Jets with the points. I'm getting 6.5 hosting Buffalo. I think they're going to turn the corner here. I've used this analogy with the boys in the last few weeks. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, they got these A players, right? And they had a C+ coaching staff, and that's not going to match. Now I think they're starting to get a better coaching staff, and they're getting the players that they need. I think this team's going to be a good football team.
All right.
So you're saying that.
Of course he agrees with me because I was on a heater last week. It's wise to agree with me right now, which means Georgia's going to easily cover. So, Matt, go ahead. You were the guy we created this segment for, but go ahead.
I was going to say, so T, what you're saying is the Jets are a playoff team is what you're telling me. That's what I'm
hearing. Let's not get crazy just yet.
Again, those of you joining us for the first time, we do not drug test on this program, but I might have to start.
All right. I wanted to put in a baseball game, so I take a look at tomorrow's games, and the best one I could find, Paul Skeens is pitching. So I'm taking the Pirates on the money line because it's Paul Skeens. I mean, that's got to be a good bet right there. That's got to get you started off good. And I'm taking Oregon and Northwestern, the over 50.5. That could happen in the first half. That could happen with Oregon themselves. But I definitely think that'll happen one way or another. Like I said, could be by halftime. That could be done.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a stat today, and I meant to write it down. And it was if Paul Skeens had been given 3 runs of support in all of his starts this year, he would have been or over the last couple years, he'd be 35-4. If they would have got him to 4 runs of support, he would have been 35-1. That is just so mind blowing to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's somebody we can call a generational talent that deserves every bit of the accolades. I wanted to throw this up real quick. We got about a minute or so before we get out of here, guys. But I thought this was very interesting if the Major League Baseball postseason started today. And look at some of these matchups.
Man.
The world's going to implode. Yankees, Sox, Astros, Mariners, all in short wild card series. Dodgers, Mets, and Cubs, Padres. That's ridiculous. The Yankees not doing themselves any favors tonight. Thanks a lot, New York. They're down 12-2 to the Tigers. I used one of Mac's favorite bets, the over outs on a pitcher bet, which I can't stand. But I did it with Will Warren today, and he got it done for me. And then Detroit just brought out the freaking whooping sticks on them. Houston's beating Toronto 3-1, and Texas and Milwaukee 3-3 right now. Padres and Reds just got started. the hottest team in Major League Baseball. They are getting ready to play the Diamondbacks again. Calm down, Giants fans. You're not going to the postseason, and if you do, it'll be an extremely short stay there. But it's kind of cool to see what Adames Chapman endeavors can do together, and knowing that the Giants will add Bryce Eldridge next year. That's a lot of fun. But that's all I got. TJ, any final words before we get out of here?
Rent and don't buy, Giants fans. Rent, don't buy.
Exactly. Vegas Mac, any parting shots for us?
I've got a lot of confidence in my Red Sox. I gave them a good talk this weekend. Got a new good young pitcher starting for them tonight. Hey, by the way, you know who was at the game on Saturday that we saw? Dustin Pedroia and Jacoby Ellsbury.
They both Valley boys?
I know Petey is, but Jacoby was there. I just took a picture and I was like, guy looks so familiar, and I couldn't put a face to it. I had to think about it for a while, but it was Jacoby with Petey. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, interesting stuff there. All right, so Mac will be off tomorrow. TJ and I will be here, same bat time, same bat channel for everybody behind the scenes. For the guys on the screen, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you.